I thought I hid that every week. Every week that happens to me. All right. Hey, everybody. We're live with Creator Backtalk, live with Floydman. And I hope there's going to be a lot of people joining us today because we got a lot to talk about. I guess this evening is the fabulous Todd Rayner, who is the publisher of Annabelle and Ice Pick, and he's done sketch cards and he does art and it's fabulous. And you'll find out all about him in just a second here. Before we do that, though, I want to thank everybody. The Swell #1 campaign is officially over for crowdfunding. However, you know, if you want a copy, slip me some money and I'll gladly accept it. We came out 218% funded, which is awesome. Thank you, everybody. Everybody should be expecting their books no later than May 31st. Some of the higher tiers, you know, I still got stuff to make to, you know, put in your box, and it's gonna be awesome and you're gonna love it. So anyway, we're going to bring on Todd here. And so if you have any questions for Todd or me or, you know, anyone, talk to the wind. I don't care. But put them in the comments below or below here on YouTube and below on Facebook too. I guess it works kind of the same. If you're watching us on YouTube, subscribe and like. If you're watching us on Facebook, go to YouTube and subscribe and like. So anyway, I'm going to bring in Todd, and I'm done talking. So here's the man of the hour. Hey, buddy, what's up?
Hey, how's it going?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So okay, so I have absolutely nothing prepared. And I know nothing about your book, even though I've seen you at shows and you've told me all about it. But at shows, I'm kind of
it's crazy. Yeah, no, it's a whirlwind.
Okay, so you have a couple titles. You have Annabelle and Ice Pick, and is there more that I don't know about? Okay, let's start. Wait. Let's start at the beginning. Okay.
Yeah.
How long have you been self-publishing? Let's go
there. Self-publishing, really only about a year-ish, a little over a year, with Dark Space Studios. But my first book that was published, which was my first creator-owned book, that came out around 2016, and that was Ice Pick. That was with another publisher. And then, you know, talking with my wife, which my booth babe at shows, I mean, you've seen her. She's like, just come up with your own studio. Like, why are you like not pulling the trigger on this? So that's where Dark Space Studios became. And I was like, okay, now I have a house. I can do whatever the hell I want and just go from there. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, self-publishing has only been about a little over a year and a half.
Okay. And so was your first title Ice Pick then?
Yeah.
And how many issues have you got under your belt on that one?
That one's got 4. It's a 4-issue limited miniseries. It's a complete story, and I kind of like the 4-issue miniseries, so I think it's like not too long, but long enough. And with that book, I did all myself. So I wrote, draw, color, the whole 9. And then I felt like this is really time consuming. So let me see what I can do to scrounge up some extra bucks and get an art team behind my next project, which is Annabelle.
Okay. Yeah, and you know, 4 is my unlucky number in publishing too, because when I was doing small press way back in the 90s, it was all my issues went like 4 issues, except for my zine went 3 issues. But so it's just that 4-issue curse I have. But so now have you always got you're going through Comics Wellspring or Kablam?
I'm actually going through a company that does.
Oh, you're going through somebody totally different.
Yeah, it's called Ready Comics. I think they're still in Arizona. I mean, they were. I think they still are. They're not. I can't say they're not the cheapest, but they're definitely, their quality is, you know, really good. So I'm really happy with them. They fast turnaround. The customer service is great. So they have a lot to offer too. They do like glow in the dark and metal and all this other kind of fun stuff.
Oh, do they have newsprint?
You know what? I never looked. That would be fun.
That's what I would love to do swell on. Yeah. But you know, everybody has to do the high-end paper now. So.
Yeah.
But Okay, so you got those. That's pretty good for a year having 4 issues of just that. Um,
Yeah, it took a long time. I mean, it was like, I don't know, 10 months. Well, you drew Swell, right? I mean, you did all that yourself.
years in the
So
making.
yeah,
Years.
years. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I kind of now Annabelle, even though that's my current book I'm publishing and kind of
Yeah.
working on.
Yes, Timothy newsprint.
Yeah. Um,
Tim's
I
awesome.
would say that like Annabelle was part of, she is part of the Ice Pick. It's all the same universe. All the
Oh,
characters live within each other in that universe. And I came up with Ice Pick when I was a teenager, like many,
yeah.
many, too many moons ago,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, for you, like it's the same thing. Like these characters are years in the making. And it took, once I decided to say, all right, I'm going to make this a book.
Mhm.
My skills are, I mean, they're not great, but they're good enough, in the world of
Right.
indie comics. So that's when I just was like, I'm just going to do Ice Pick and do it all myself. And I kind of rewrote some of the script, and it took, I don't know, 10, 11 months to make a single issue. So it took a
Well,
long
that's
time.
that's about yeah, that's about right.
Yeah,
Yeah, because doing it all yourself, I mean, there's advantages and disadvantages.
correct.
Advantages, it's yours, man. You
Yeah,
don't have to
yeah,
change anything if you don't want
yeah,
to.
yeah,
Disadvantages, like somebody saying, "Yeah, yeah, that doesn't look right," or "That logo I don't like,"
yeah,
and that's why I've decided. That's why I decided that swell was going to be all me, except for one
yeah.
page done by Rich Ragsdale, who's awesome.
Nice.
Um, and because we did the Team Trash book. I don't know. Did you get a copy of Unabashedly Trashed?
No, I
Book?
don't. I don't think so. That was a
Okay.
Garbage Pail Kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we did. It was Unabashedly Trash. It was me and Mike Steffens and Shane Garvey, Barry Nigma, Becky had a one pager in there, and it was fun. I pretty much put it all together and
Hmm.
got the ball rolling. But in the end, it's like they took my cover price off the cover,
Oh,
saying, "Oh, well, I talked to the comic publishers and they they said no, it's best not to have a price, so you can charge whatever you want." And I'm just like, wow, wait.
oh,
So
okay.
yeah, so then I took some into Tony's Kingdom Comics, my local shop. Tony, you're awesome.
Yeah.
And and he had to put like sticky notes on it saying this is this much.
Yeah.
And I was actually selling them cheaper than the other guys, but they were selling them, so they
Yeah.
sold it. It was a
That's
fun book
cool.
to do.
Yeah.
But there's just stuff like that that you have to deal with, someone else there.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, I mean, doing comics and publishing is not my full time gig. I think art is pretty much your full time gig. And it's a different beast when you have a daytime job and you're doing, publishing or artwork kind of as a hobby or side hustle, whatever.
right.
Uh, and my career, like what I do for my day job, I'm a designer. I do like some multimedia stuff, but really I brought that into what I did for my books, right? So all my design skills, everything I learned in college and
Oh yeah.
film stuff, all that got kind of, it translated over really well. So, and I even worked at print shops, so I knew like what they were looking for,
Right.
and but you're right, you go to a comic shop and even one of the local shops up here, it's kind of like, hey, what do I got to do to get books in the store? Well, you need a UPC on it so we can scan it for inventory. Okay. I never knew that at first.
I
Yeah.
I was kind of going back and forth on that. Should I?
Yeah.
Should I not? And it's like, because I'm going. So I don't know if you watched my show last week, but I had Adam Watson,
Mhm.
and he's doing his own independent distribution now. It's
Oh,
called
that's cool.
it's called Comics Mainstream,
Okay.
and what he does is he sets up spinner racks in various places,
Hmm.
especially here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
And so you should watch it and
I'm
contact
gonna
him.
have to check that out. Yeah, it's interesting. I do love spinner racks, but it's definitely
Well, it's not your typical spinner rack. It's a little bit bigger. It's like
yeah.
magazine size, but
Yeah.
still it gets the point across. And so
Hmm.
that's one way to go. And that's what I'm going through. And I don't need a UPC code.
That's cool.
So so yeah, so you should watch my show.
Yeah.
But let me just put this up. This is so that's Ice Pick. Is that the very first one there?
Yeah, that's very old. Well, pretty old. Yes, that's the first kind of cover, first issue, the whole thing.
Okay. I love the character design. That's cool
Thanks.
design.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like, kind of has the Spider-Man Venom type spider on the chest, but it's not really. And
Yeah, it's his. I started with Ice Pick because I mean I grew up in kind of getting into comics late '80s, early '90s, and being a teenager kind of for me was like the best time to be a teenager
Mhm,
in comics at that
mhm,
era. I
mhm.
mean, I would say that probably the '60s and '70s had some really good stuff too. Um, but for me, it was like as an adult, as a professional now, I love that '90s era. So I designed him to be a little bit flashier. I designed, the
Right,
story is this. His that 4 issues is like a '90s throwback
mhm,
superhero revenge filled, story.
right,
And there's a lot of influences from '90s. So there's like the Punisher vibe. There's Spawn,
mhm,
a little bit of Spider-Man in there. It's just all the fun Batman. Like
right.
all the characters are just mashed up into him.
Yeah. So you're pretty much an Image kid then,
I
huh?
was, yeah. God, I want to say Image kind of boomed like right when I was about 15,
Yeah,
16.
yeah. That's when I was kind of not paying attention.
Yeah.
But see, my influences run, totally a different,
Oh,
all
absolutely.
over the place. So,
Yeah.
Um, I didn't like Image when they first came out, and but after actually kind of looking and reading more Spawn, I
Hmm.
can respect McFarlane because he's kind of doing what I want to do, which is more of the characteristic type faces
Hmm.
and everything. So,
Yeah,
but
he's.
enough about me. Let's talk
Oh
about
no, Spawn's great. Like, and Todd's a really cool guy. Like, we met him at Emerald City one year,
Oh,
and
did you?
just like,
Cool.
yeah, he's just. I don't know. He's got that vibe. He's got that
Right.
personality that kind of like sucks people into being around him. He's just
Right.
really, really a cool guy to be around and hang out with.
Yeah, well, and just also his, I want to make cool action figures because that was what
Mhm.
I was always like mad at. Was it's like, why can't anybody make cool action figures?
Yeah,
And Todd went
yeah,
ahead and did it. It was awesome.
yeah.
So okay, so tell us about the character then. What's Ice Pick all about? He's
Ice Pick is basically, I mean, there's the story really revolves around a lot of other kind of stories that kind of have been told, where he got his superpowers from a scientific accident. A bunch of mobsters were trying to kill him. They left him for dead. You know,
in
stuff
a meat
spilled on
locker.
him. What's up?
Was it in a meat locker?
No, originally, like if I had to find my old pages, I think the original he was like there was like the silhouette of an ice block, and it was like the human silhouette coming out of an ice block. When I was like 15, I'm like, that's super cool. I'm like, well, now I'm like, that's just kind of dumb. Um, but yeah, I mean, it's basically like, I pull like some supernatural elements, and his parents get killed. Then those people that killed his parents come after him, leave him for dead. They think he's dead. His best friend, who is also his kind of lab, mate, he ends up finding him, and he ends up having superpowers. And he's got the power to kind of manipulate moisture in the air, so he can like
Ooh,
make sharp objects, ice picks, ice dissipate
cool.
into smoke, like just fun superhero stuff. And
Right.
it really just starts out like the first issue. There's no origin. It just starts with him trying to find out who killed his parents,
Right.
and it's this revenge driven story. It ends up taking him to the ninth circle of hell. And
Mhm,
that's where it kind of reveals like the demon that's behind all of it. And an angel shows up. It's not really like a religious book, it just has those elements in it.
mhm.
And It kind of just ends with them saving the day. And what's cool is like the way I write stories is I like film. I mean, I like the films that are short stories.
Mhm.
They take place in like a day, small casts.
Right.
And so that's how all my stories are written.
Okay.
The whole 4 issues takes place in like one evening,
Wow.
or a couple days.
Right.
And Annabelle is basically, you don't have to read Ice Pick to read Annabelle, but it picks up the next day. It
Yeah.
literally is like after everything that happened in Ice Pick, and the whole thing is Annabelle is Ice Pick's fiance, so she thinks he's dead. She in the first 4 issues, like she doesn't know that he's alive, and he's out there kind of doing his vigilante anti-hero kind of stuff, and
Right.
she eventually finds out he's alive. So Annabelle picks up with like, hey, let's put our lives back together. Like, I mean, we just saw what happened last night. Like, what are we doing? And then it's just like another story gets told with her.
Oh, cool. Okay. I didn't
So
know that.
yeah, it's like a fun, like
That's pretty
they
cool.
all kind of link together, but they're separate, right? So if you're
Right.
not a fan of 90s superhero stuff, okay, you don't have to read Ice Pick. If you like strong female characters kicking butt, then you could read Annabelle, and that's really what that story's about. And I will have, when I mentioned his lab buddy, his name's Luke. That's going to be the next story I tell, and that's going to be another 4 issues, and that's kind of more like a horror themed. So it'll be fun to do that.
Yeah, that's cool though. I like the fact that they're all kind of intertwined,
Yeah,
and each one kind of gets his own spotlight. So,
yeah.
so do you still have issues left of Ice Pick or?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, I have my website. Once I kind of decided to go into small publishing, indie publishing stuff, I'm like, I probably should have a website. I got all that set up. It's, fully functional. It has original art. I
Cool.
have all the original Ice Pick pages. Well, not all, I've sold a few, but generally speaking, I have like a lot of the original pencils and inked pages I bring to shows, and,
Right.
people can flip through. But yeah, like a lot of that's on the website. It's just darkspacestudios.com.
Okay,
Or
cool.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't make a banner for that one. So, um, okay, so now I don't know if you meant, is Annabelle going to be 4 issues as well
Yeah.
now?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I got so the whole art team, they're in South America, kind of like different areas down there. But
Mhm.
I was, when we first brought them up, it was, or got them on board, it was kind of like I wanted to make sure that they understood, because when we started doing, like, I just wasn't sure like how well their English was, but
Mhm.
they all speak fluent English, unlike some of us. I mean, English is my only language, so if I get a script in like Spanish, I'm not going to understand it.
Right.
But they're all fantastic, and the artist, the interior artist, and he does the variant. He'll do variant covers as well, but he
Cool.
just nailed the characters, all of them from the get go.
Awesome.
He did a couple character models. I'm like, damn, man, this is it. Like, you're, let's go. Like, I just had to
Yeah.
find a way to keep paying you, because you're making this kind of, I don't know, dream come true in a way. Like, you're having someone else draw characters, and it just
Right.
hits right where you want it to go. So yeah, that's issue 3. That's
So did
my
he do
cover.
the cover of that one?
No, that's my cover, but I do have his cover. Let's see here.
Yeah, if you got it.
Yeah,
Um,
I'll pull it up
in
for
the
you.
meantime, Raymond says, short story comics, that's really awesome. Reminds me of the Netflix show with multiple story angles, different timelines, all that intertwine.
Yes, Raymond, that's exactly, and I
I'm not
love that
loving
too.
robots with it, so I love that.
Yeah, but I also, before I got into like a lot of image stuff, I was reading Marvel Comics Presents, and it
Mhm.
was like 4 short stories. I don't know, like 8 pages or something of each story, but
Right.
they were all in one issue, and they just
Right.
continued to tell that story over multiple
Oh,
issues.
okay. See, I've always been because I'm old school, I've always been a one book, one story, beginning,
Hmm.
middle, end, type
Yeah,
of guy. I don't like the soap operas. I just don't get into them.
no,
And
me
that's what I
neither.
call them. They're all just soap operas. They're superhero soap operas. It totally is. So, but as the mutant turns, but
Yeah. Well, here is Sergio's cover. Let me see if this comes through here.
okay.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
so hopefully, okay, cool. So that's what Sergio does. He does. I think he does digital art. He'll do like
Yeah.
loose pencils and inks, and then I have an inker that fleshes everything out. But this is like a digital painting. I mean, this is like really,
That's
really cool
nice.
stuff.
Yeah. No kidding.
Um, and here's, let's see, we'll slide in. Here's a couple other pages. This is one of my favorite pages. Like,
Wow.
Ice Pick shows up. You kind of learn his name in his Ice Pick comic, which is, his name's Adam,
Yeah.
and it's like he still shows up. He's got his superpowers, right? So why not show him?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's, this is
That's
another
cool.
really cool page.
God, you're so organized, man. My stuff's all over the place.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, it's a lot
that's
of
cool.
fun.
Right on. Yeah. So okay. So what's the deal with the dragon then? What's that all about?
So the dragon is,
Because you have the dragon on this cover. Oh no. Sorry.
yeah, on the Annabelle cover, right? Yeah, and what I like to do when I tell stories is I like to horror. Well, wait to see what Luke's going to be about. A little bit of a preview what Raymond's talking about here. The cheesy stuff. I have fairies and vampires, which obviously has been told a million times, but the fairies are really badass fairies, like unexpectedly bad fairies.
Okay. Kind of
uh,
like dark elves or something.
yeah, I mean, like they're at the top of the food chain,
Poison elves,
not
I
the
guess.
vampires. The vampires are further down. Fairies are up top. But the dragon, actually, when I was done with Ice Pick, I took a break. I'm like, I'm kind of burned out. I did 4 issues in a few years, and I still wanted to tell stories. I still wanted to be creative. I still wanted to do artwork. I was doing Garbage Pail Kid cards and some top other Star
Which
Wars
we're
and
gonna go
tops and
into.
stuff. What's that?
We'll talk about that.
Yeah. And I took a little bit of time away and I started thinking like, what would be a good villain, And I opened up a black hole. I had no idea that it was going to be this way, but I started looking into like lore, ancient lore, history.
Mhm.
I found like a Wikipedia page that has like a list of supernatural creatures and the lore behind them, and then they have all their own Wikipedia pages, and so it just went down this like black hole of looking at supernatural characters. And I love dragons, so basically, and I came across Kerr, and I'm like, wow, this dragon named Kerr, like literally, that's what they called him. And he, based on the lore, is like the first Sumerian dragon. Like the
Really?
old ancient Sumerians, they talked of a dragon named Kerr, and he would consume virgins to prolong his life.
Ah,
And
okay.
so I was like, damn, that sounds kind of
Isn't that
cool.
what
Like,
we're all after?
yeah, I can work with this. That's kind of what I came up with. I was like, okay, now how do I tell a story around this lore about this ancient Sumerian dragon?
Right.
And that's what Annabelle does. She ends up getting kidnapped in issue 1. She gets a phone call from her sister. She's like, yo, I gotta go. This seems important. So she hits the road out here in the Pacific Northwest,
Yeah.
and she gets kidnapped at a rest stop. And it's one of the dragons that Kerr is kind of his minions, and he basically explains everything to her. So he kind of tells Annabelle, like, her parents are dead too. And how did they die? Well, Kerr knows all this. He kind of set things in motion to have all this happen. And she never knew this. So, come to find out that like her parents were like this coven of witches and they bound Kerr to this cave and he's pissed
Mhm.
off about it, wants to get free. So it's just this intertwining of like some history stuff, supernatural stuff, just all kinds of
That's
madness and
cool. That's
superheroes.
cool. And I think Raymond agrees because he's as
Yeah,
well. So
yeah, yeah. Check it out if you like comics, if you like reading comics. I think this is, to me personally, I feel this story's better than Ice Pick. I think there's more into it.
well,
There's
I know because we run across each other at the shows once
Mhm.
in a while, and I think I I definitely remember Annabelle being more prominent than Ice Pick
Yeah,
at your table when you're pushing things.
yeah.
I don't
It,
know.
it is, and I think that's because like the new thing, like that's my newest book, right?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
people seem
yeah.
to
Oh, you're right.
gravitate towards that.
Yeah.
Um, and once issue 4 is done, I'm going to do a trade. So I'll do a Kickstarter for that. People will be able to do that. I'll put in all this like kind of behind the scenes artwork, like I did with Ice Pick. I
Mhm.
did a trade for that as well, and added in all my old crappy high school artwork. And
See, that's what
yeah,
it's all about, man. So,
yeah, that's
so,
fun.
so how many pages is each issue then?
I say standard, but like I'm thinking 90 standard, so they're 22 pages. I think
22
standards
pages.
now are 24, maybe, or 28. I don't know.
So what the hell am I doing? I put out 32 on mine.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I always saw 22, so I just
Well,
do 22.
because okay, so like technically, like again, old school comics are 32 pages,
Okay.
but they have so many ads in them.
Yeah.
story itself is
Is
probably about 24, I think,
okay.
is the
Yeah.
going to.
But we're not talking like the old uh, heavy metal magazine or Fangoria. I
Oh,
mean, we're
no, no,
talking
no,
like
no. No, these are the
comics.
standard comics. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, Heavy
Yeah.
Metal was like 80 pages or 100
Yeah.
pages or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's why originally I had planned to do 36. And
Okay.
that's what the trash book was, that Abashly
Yeah.
Trash with 36 pages plus covers. But then I thought, I don't need to do that. I just do 32 and it came out great. So
Nice.
um that's so that 22 then,
Yeah.
so 22, 44, 66 pages for the,
80,
or 88,
80,
88.
80. Yeah. And it's fun because I think that's just like, again, it's like a nice slice of pie. It's not too
Mhm.
much or too
Right.
little. And then once now, Luke also is gonna. I'm hoping to get that released later this year after issue 4 of Annabelle wraps up. I'll roll right into like a trade paperback, and then
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
about
You said
right.
28 to 30. So,
Yeah,
um,
we'll roll into Luke, and then I'm thinking of doing an omnibus of all 3 stories of 4. I mean, we're talking a couple hundred pages, so
yeah. Yeah.
it'd
See,
be
that's,
huge.
that's pretty ambitious.
Yeah.
I, you know, I had an idea where I was going to take all my old stuff and do like
Mhm,
because I started out, I was known as Destiny Graphics, and I was going to
mhm.
do the Destiny Graphics archives, and have these big, send them to China and have these big hardbound, gold leaf books
Yeah, why not?
and everything of just all my stuff. But then I went over my stuff and I'm like, this stuff's crap, I don't want to print
Yeah.
this again.
No, I feel the same way. Like I literally, when I was getting ready to do the Ice Pick trade, I mean, I felt like after the 4th issue of Ice Pick, and I was like, oh, maybe I should do a trade, And I started looking at all the other stuff I had. So I started posting some of the like works, teenage artwork, on
Right.
like I actually cut out um, lined paper and to be the comic book size. Like I cut it, and it was like
Really?
shorter, or
Well,
maybe I went
see,
half, like 8.5 by 11, cut it in half, and then that was like my comic page. I mean, it was all hand drawn with like color pencils. It looked
oh yeah, my
terrible.
my first one, was, yeah, I colored it with markers, and it
Yeah,
soaked through the paper because it was just cheap sketch
yeah,
paper.
yeah.
It was horrible. So,
And I hand lettered it, which is atrocious. So it's
oh
just
yeah,
like, you know, uh, but I put that out there on, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and yeah, I got a lot of engagement. And I'm like, are you guys serious? You like this really bad art, And I was like, I'll just throw it in the trade. And
well, there's
yeah,
just a
there's
charm
a
to it,
market. Yeah,
because I dig. If I can find a comic with like the worst art, I will get it if I see it out, and somewhere because somebody's trying.
yeah,
And so it's like, yeah, I'll pick one up, sure. And a lot of them are pretty good. I mean, despite the art, it's
yeah.
the idea behind it. But,
Yeah, it's kind of like a bad movie, right? Like a really bad movie. They're
right,
trying.
right, yeah, because like, oh, well, case in point, this was my first magazine. This was number one,
Yeah.
and this was printed on the office copier,
Oh,
and
jeez.
it was the worst copier ever. That's why it's got the big black line
Yeah.
right there,
Is
and
it stapled? You stapled it?
it is stapled, yes. I think
Ah,
I did buy a long stapler and
okay.
stapled it. But,
That's what
so,
always, because
yeah, so I kind of went from this to this. So it's like it's all in what you learn.
that's true. That's true. Yeah, that's
Okay, so let's talk. So Ice Pick basically was the first book you
yeah,
ever put together
absolutely.
and
Yeah. Yeah.
distributed.
I,
Wow.
I did work on like some other indie titles. I did some digital coloring for, a writer
Okay.
I knew in Kentucky, still friends with him, and put together some really, I felt like really strong books. But this was maybe 12, no, longer than that, maybe 14 years ago.
Hmm.
And the landscape for comics was just different, 14 years ago.
Right.
Uh, Kickstarter, I don't even know if it was around, it probably was, but it just wasn't nearly what it was today.
Yeah,
Uh,
14. That was in its infancy at best, I
yeah.
think.
And so, I mean, I feel really proud of that work. I thought it turned out really good. I think there were like three titles we worked on, three or four different titles. And, just did some indie work, kind of cutting my teeth. And that's when I felt like 2014, 15-ish. I was like, yeah, I'm not that bad of a hack. Let me
Right.
put all this crap together and make something that you can read.
Well, and
So,
again, your job too, as a
yeah,
designer, I mean, that
yeah.
definitely helps,
No, it's a lot of support from the wife and then nights and weekends, basically, doing stuff at shows.
Yeah, yeah. Well, see, and I don't know, again, I'm showing my age, but y- your kids today, it's like,
I
because
say that. Yeah.
okay, so here's how we used to do it. We used to do it. We used to draw, and then like the office copier,
Yeah.
or we'd go to Kinko's
Hmm.
and we'd print them at Kinko's, and it would be a lot of cut and paste with glue stick, and
Yeah.
we didn't have computers to do any of the text, so that all had to be hand text.
Yeah.
But because I was involved in the small press network, which was basically a huge group of guys doing the same thing in different places, and then we would just send each other our books as a trade.
Yeah.
We wouldn't sell anything, we never made money, and it's still happening today with the
Oh.
UFO and stuff, the United Fanzine Organization and
Hmm.
everything. So it's but once you publish, it's in your blood, and you just
Yeah.
got to do it. I mean, I felt so good putting this book out after, well, it's been a 15-year hiatus for me, um but yeah, and this is the one that I always wanted to put out, and so that's why I'm
Yeah.
happy with it. And also with all the new technology, with
Oh, phenomenal.
all the printers, the print on demand printers, and
Yeah.
social media and Kickstarter, and it's like, if you want to do a comic, there's no reason why you shouldn't
Right.
nowadays.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but I get that question a lot at shows when I have a table and I'll have even like really young, I think I had like an 8 or 9, 10-year old, parent will come up with their kid basically, right? And
Mhm.
they're like, yes, youth will never know.
Yeah,
um, but they'll come up with their kid and they'll just be like,
yeah,
hey, do you have any advice for my son or daughter, or
right,
teenager? And I'm like, you just got to keep doing it, like seriously, just
yeah,
don't stop. Just don't stop. No matter how bad you think it is, no matter what kind of crap you get from people, just keep
right,
drawing, keep doing it. You'll find a art style,
right,
like what I did with Ice Pick, or even Annabelle with the covers. Like, yeah, it's kind of, you can kind of tell it's my art. There's a style to it, but it's
right,
nothing like when I was a teenager. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Same as with you.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So
My
yeah,
stuff when
that
I
is,
was a teenager, man. Everybody in school liked it.
yeah.
My mama liked it. Uh, but yeah, it's you're right though. It's the thing is, you just got to do it, because if you really want it out, then do it, and
Yeah,
don't care what everybody says, because
right.
you will get those people, but you'll also get the people that are like, dude, that's awesome, and
Yep.
that's your tribe. That's who you're shooting for.
Yeah.
People that appreciate the art and appreciate the passion and commitment that went into the book. So
100%.
yeah,
Absolutely. And those are the people that the fans that'll keep coming back. You do another issue of Swell, they're going to be the ones that are going to be back there, backing it again. And I have
I
that
don't
with,
know after they see the first issue.
I
Maybe
said the
not.
same thing about the first issue I did. And there was another issue.
Yeah,
But yeah, it is, you're going to get the haters. You're going to get the people that are going to be critical, and you just kind of, it's hard, but you block it out. It's like,
right, right,
yeah, that's fine. That's not your thing. Okay, but here's people where it is their thing and that's their jam and they love it and they keep coming back for more. So
right,
I
right.
keep making it, they keep reading it.
Yeah. So Raymond says funds are an issue at times. Artists charge different fees per page. That's
Yes.
true. I have an amazing game-changing horror story, and I banged on so many doors. Well, why are you banging on doors, man? Just do it. Do it yourself. Just, you don't need funding. Just do crowdfunding. I didn't think I would
Yeah.
get mine funded. I
Nope.
really didn't, and I came out, 218% funded. So
Yeah,
you will be surprised if you just
you will.
set it
And
up.
speaking of surprise and just keep keep doing it attitude. When I first did Ice Pick, I did my first show, which used to be Jet City up here in Tacoma. Now it's Grit
Oh
City.
yeah, yeah.
Um, and the table fee wasn't that expensive, but then I put together just 6 pages,
Hey Matt, sorry.
and it was just like a black and white 6 page ash can for $1. I
Right.
know, I mean, $1, a lot of people are willing to spend $1 versus 5 or 10 or whatever, but I still sold quite a few. I was like, there's no way that people are going to buy this. It's 6 pages, it's black and white, it's a preview, it's not even a full issue, and they bought it. And
Right.
I didn't even kickstart issue 1. I don't think I even kickstarted issue 2. I think issue 2 went to Indiegogo, and then 3 and 4 were on Kickstarter with
Okay.
the trade. I think that's
Yeah.
kind of how it went.
Huh. Okay. So he says, nowadays more haters the better. Negative draws attention. That is, any publicity is good publicity. That's true.
That's true, as long as
Uh,
it doesn't get you down. Like
right.
that's what I would say. Like I've had critical haters too, and I just like okay, and they're sharing the stuff too, right? You know.
Call of Duty is still top thing in the game. Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah. So okay. So let's talk. Aside from the comics, what and
Yeah.
your job, I
Sure.
know you have absolutely no time.
Yeah. All the
But
time in the world. I don't sleep.
so let's talk sketch cards. So
All right.
how'd you get into that racket?
Well, that's a kind of a bittersweet story, but
Those are
um,
the best ones. So,
yeah, there was. So originally, I'm from Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio.
mm,
I kind of have to I give credit to the guy that got me in, even though we're not friends anymore.
yeah,
But he's an old high school buddy. What's up?
we won't mention any names.
No, no, no. Well, he's a pretty big name in Garbage Pail Kids sketch cards, and he was actually a high school buddy of mine, and we were friends for
Yes.
30 plus years.
Yeah.
Um, and he's just like he was already doing Garbage Pail Kid cards. He was a bigger fan of GPK than I was. I mean, I bought them, and I was like, these are cool and fun and wacky and the whole thing, right? Never drew anything remotely close to what that style of art is.
Oh, me too. Me too.
Never.
Believe it.
Your style, I could see, can translate in a
Yes.
way. Like
Because I
it's
dog twisted Kenneth great.
yeah,
Yes.
it's fun. Like I always drew, and I even now like as an artist, I have a lot of growing to do, but I always did comic art. Like that was always my foundation and staple, and it was always like
Right.
that form. And it's different than fun, wacky, even cartoony style or caricature styles.
Right.
But he's like, no, I know the art director. I've been doing GPK for a while, so he's like, here's the email. I put together like 3 original pieces of art. I did like the Ozzy with the bat. I think it.
Yeah.
I did like 3 different, and maybe I don't know. I don't think it was Adam Bomb, but it was like 3 different Garbage Pail Kid cards on like.
Really? Everybody does that. So
I know. I don't think I did Adam Bomb, and I still have them. Like I put them up for sale, and no one bought them, which was kind of odd. I felt like
that is
this is
odd. Yeah.
original GBK art, but it's not official tops.
Right. Exactly. People want the official stock.
Yeah. So I did that, and then all I had was like comic art at the time, and I was just like, here's some of my comic art, but here's me doing Garbage Pail Kid kids.
Right.
And it kind of went from there, and I've been almost on every set. I think it's been like
Are you still doing sets?
I didn't sign up for the no, actually I did. The last set I signed up for, but I'm only on the base sets, not the wacky packs or anything like that.
Right, right. But that was Kids at
So,
Play, so you're on Kids at Play.
unless new invites went out, like I don't know, it was unless
That
something
was the
came out
last.
within the last. Okay, it might have been that then, because I still got like one return left that
Okay.
I can throw out there, but
Well, Raymond says, dude, show me samples. I got a big Garbage Pail Kid crowd here, so
all right, all right. Let me find it. You say I'm organized, but I have to find these.
okay. And
These,
while you're doing that, I'll entertain the troops.
yeah.
Yeah, because I did not expect to do Garbage Pail Kids at all because I wasn't into it.
Yeah,
Again, and I say this every week. I'm a wacky package guy. Okay, that
yeah,
was my jam. And so Dustin Graham is the one that said, Floyd, you need to show your stuff off on the Garbage Pail Kid Facebook pages. And
yeah.
I love it. And I'm like, Garbage Pail Kids, I want to do wacky packages. And I showed off some Garbage Pail Kids stuff. And they're like, awesome, you should work for Tops. And I've always told people
Wow.
Tops can't match my price, which they still can't, but I would work for them anyway.
Hmm.
But then nobody would give me the connection, the contact.
What?
Yeah, all the artists would be like, yeah, you should do it. You should do it. I'm like, oh, okay. How do I contact them? They're like, oh, I better not give that out. And so I found out who the art director was, and I went straight to the art director's website
Hmm.
directly and sent some wacky package samples. And boom, next thing I know, I get invited to the 30th anniversary wacky package, which is a dream come true.
That's
And
crazy.
still not expecting to do Garbage Pail Kids, and
Hmm.
goes with the territory. So boom, I was been on Garbage Pail Kids. So yeah.
Yeah, I love that fan base.
Oh, they're awesome.
They're
They are
I
awesome.
yeah, I'm speechless. Like they are just so rabid and so in a good way, right? They're
Oh yeah.
so much fun.
Yes.
They come up with because there's times where they're like, hey, when I get returns, can you do this, right? And it's like something I would have never thought of.
Right.
Like I'm working on one now where it's like bringing Optimus Prime into a Garbage Pail Kid, and I'm like, what? This is insane.
See, and
Uh,
I refused, or I refused. I refused. I didn't sign up for the Transformer set from Dynamite because I hate drawing mechs, and Roybot is
okay.
always a pain for me to draw. But
Oh, he is one of my favorites.
so Raymond says you have one blank. Do you have a blank? Any
I
blanks?
do have one blank left. It
Yeah.
is actually,
See, I'm making your money, man.
hey, works for me. It's a rocket ship.
Oh, the rocket one. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. That was the intergalactic set, which was
So
I
there's
didn't.
no colors on this one, but
Oh, okay. There we go. Nice.
it's like
Yeah,
it is.
he's on his head.
He's holding Optimus Prime up, and I'm
Oh,
just
he's
like,
holding him up. I thought he was
yeah, he's
laying
like
on his
holding him
head.
up, and
Yeah.
like he took his gun and he's shooting Optimus's gun.
Matt says
Yeah,
GK rules. Okay.
cool, Raven. I got you. You can find me on Facebook.
Yeah. So I thought that you had stopped doing the sketch cards when you were focusing on your books, but
Well, I
apparently
kept doing them. This Raymond is actually going to get my last official Garbage Pail Kid card,
oh,
because
there you
I'm
go,
I'm
Raymond.
kind of
All
done
right.
with. Yeah, I'm done with Garbage Pail. Not, I mean, I'll probably still be on the email list, and if I just got burned
Well,
out. Like, I mean,
I
I don't
I'm in
think
the
people
same boat.
realize. Yeah,
Right.
but
I'm
I'll
in
share
the
some of the Garbage Pail Kid stuff here.
Yeah, he says, can he add you as a Facebook friend? And they
Absolutely,
wheel and deal and
absolutely,
awesome. See,
absolutely, dude.
this is what it's all
Yeah.
about. Is I'm making connections here. Matchmaker,
Yeah.
matchmaker. Okay. Um, oh, okay. Here we go.
Yeah, so we'll slide this up and then no wait, we're not like so this is
Nice.
the
I
Exorcist.
love the coloring.
Oh no, yeah, and this was done like 11 by 14 if I'm not mistaken. Color pencils, I think maybe markers, but mostly color pencils.
Right.
The Ozzy,
Cool.
and then it.
Oh yeah.
So and that's what I sent the Tops to get sketch cards,
Right.
and then
And that works.
these are some of the returns, you know. Um,
Yeah. Alien Ian.
yeah.
Nice. Live mic.
See?
Ah, curses.
Yeah.
I so hate drawing him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
So, yeah.
Yeah, my favorite is, my favorite to draw, of course, is Dead Ted because that's one of my favorite art show kids. But
Yeah. Someone asked me to do a Dead Ted, but like do a spin with like something about it. I remember it was like I had amps in the background, like guitar amps and like Metallica logos. And it was just like this weird mashup of
I
crazy
did a
things. And
Slayer with hot. or no, it was the one that was going like this, you know, in the
Thanks,
rock.
Mark. Yeah.
So that was fun. So okay, so you're kind of like me then. You're kind of, yeah, you know, I'm not really gonna do it, but you know, maybe if I'm
Yeah.
broke, I might need some money.
Yeah. It's like that. And it got to a point after, I think, about 7 years, it just got to be a chore, right? Like the email comes in
Exactly.
and I'm like,
The
you
deadline.
know, like, yeah, and the deadlines were really tight. Like I gotta, this is strange. My first sketch card gig was actually with Upper Deck, and it was doing a Marvel set.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, now this is in my wheelhouse. This is my jam, like superhero stuff. So
Right.
I
Yeah.
did that, and I'm like, okay, that was awesome. And I think within like a month or so, like that's when Tops got back to me, and then I like was right on to the next
Oh,
Tops
really?
Garbage Pail Kid set. And then Upper Deck never emailed me back, like for any other sets. And
Oh,
then like 3 months ago, I think 2 months ago, I got an email from Upper Deck like, "Hey, do you want to do this next Marvel set?" I'm like, "All right, I'll do that."
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I would love to do a Marvel set. You know, that'd be awesome.
it's
But I don't
it's
know if
fun.
I, you know, if I did them standard, because like I did, you know, I did this today. I was just kind of playing around, and I did this Wolverine.
Awesome. I
Uh,
love Wolverine.
and so I could
Yeah,
do it, you know,
yeah,
and not, you know, try to make it my own crazy Wolverines,
yeah.
but yeah, that's the one company I haven't done yet is Upper Deck. So yeah.
I mean, I think it's fun, but for me, like I like drawing superheroes, so whatever I can do with that,
You always
appreciate it,
have a fan
man.
base. Follow your heart. Keep on creating. Yes, yes, definitely.
Yeah, and I agree. Like you get the bug of publishing.
Hmm.
It's just there. Like I did an issue. I'm like, that's cool. Did another one. I'm like, yeah, okay. It's work, right?
Right.
But it's kind of fun because you see what's in your head. It's not like necessarily sketch cards, but you see like a story forming. You see the characters coming together. You see like more
Right.
there, and then it's like you get it printed, and then like, wait, I have a fan base. I have like,
Yeah.
you know,
How's that happen?
yeah, even for me, like 40 or 50 people that back my Kickstarters, I'm like, you're kidding me, right? And there's people, I've had people from like New Zealand and Europe
Yep.
and like Sweden, I think, like all over the world. So it's insane. It really is cool. And then that fires me up to keep doing more, you
Right.
know?
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
that's that. You know, that's what the fan base
Yeah.
exists for us to create. You know, I mean, that's just how it is. You know.
Yeah.
So Tim says I would kill to do a Marvel of DC. Tim, let me tell you about this guy, Doc Absurd, man. Tim Cebulski is an amazing artist, and his Disney
Mhm.
stuff is second to none. And he needed to be drawing more, Tim. I'm telling you. I've been telling that for years, but
It's hard. It really is. It's tough.
yeah.
Um, I, you mentioned Disney. I was probably like 13 or 14. And my family's been pretty supportive for me. I feel kind of blessed that way. Like my mom is creative, so she always knew like it was important to
Yeah.
don't stifle that creativity.
Yeah.
And being left-handed, kind of like, I don't know, is that like a curse or not? But you know,
I didn't know
and
you were a pedophile.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But so my mom took me to like this, it was like this weird, I don't even know what it was, art show, but it was at like a church or somewhere.
Mhm.
And one of the Disney artists, animators was there.
Oh, cool.
And I, honest to God, he looked like Walking Death. The guy was like
Mhm.
probably 80 when I met him, 85. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. But just to listen to someone who worked on like a
Right.
lot of the early Disney movies in the golden age, right? Because this was
Yeah.
in the 80s that I saw him, and he was already probably pushing mid 80s. And I'm just like, dude, it's amazing. I mean, the work area, like just how they work was
Yeah.
bad. Working conditions were terrible at Disney back
Right.
then.
Right.
But I mean, he had some of his art, and it's like, yeah, it's just
Yeah.
fueled me to keep doing it. No matter what the style, no matter what you do, just keep drawing.
Right,
You
right.
know,
And that's what's good about, you know, having all the conventions now.
yeah,
You know, because you get to interact with the fans, and
yeah,
also you get to meet other artists that, you
yeah,
know, inspire you to keep doing what you're doing.
I still do. And I mean, there's a lot of, I mean, your style is so unique that
Thank you.
that's like, it reminds me of like the 70s fun art style.
Yeah, and
And
that's what and because I started out like you, it's like I saw comic books, I saw Neil Adams, and I'm like, I
yeah,
want to be Neil Adams. I want to do
yeah,
superheroes. I want to do comics,
yeah.
and just but as I evolved, somewhere along the way, Mad Magazine said, "You don't want to do superheroes. You want to do
Yeah,
this."
no,
You know?
man, I huge influence with a lot of their stuff. I never tapped into that side of creativity, like the exaggerated body forms or like the big chins or like big ears, like just because it always was
Yeah,
that foundation of like more anatomically correct or superhero kind of stuff.
right.
So there's just like a ton of respect for people like yourself and people that can do what you do, like that art style. You know
Yeah,
what I mean? Like
right.
it's different. It's so unique and different.
Thank you.
Yeah,
But it's fun,
yeah,
and I hope, my main goal in doing it is I hope people look at it and say, "Man, that's fun, and that must have been a blast to draw," because it
yeah,
was, and that's why I decided to do it, that's why I
yeah,
switched from superheroes because I started drawing, like this kind of stuff,
yeah.
and I'm like, that's I love drawing this,
That's
and
fun.
so that's when I'm like, go crazy,
Yeah.
so. But
No,
but
I
again, I'll
agree.
still do traditional superheroes and stuff too,
Yeah.
and Garbage Pail Kids. So okay, so speaking of conventions, what do you get on the list this year?
We're doing
You'll be at
SummerCon.
SummerCon again?
Yeah, yeah. Be at
I wish I
SummerCon.
was. I should get a table, but I didn't afford. So
Yeah, I'll let you know when tables go up for next year, or
okay.
try to get on the wait list. But that show is always a banger of a show for
I
me.
know. When I went up
Like
there last year, it's crazy.
it is, it is hands down. And I think what the promoters are doing with SummerCon, if you're in the Pacific Northwest, look it up, show up, be there. You won't be disappointed. I
Exactly.
think that show is better than Emerald City by far. It's way better organized. There's two pavilions. It's at the fairgrounds, right? So you
Right.
have two big pavilions where they can separate. I didn't the first year I went there. I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
Like
I
we're
thought that was
separated
weird when we went. Yeah.
at first, and then like as the years went on, I'm like, no, 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 this is perfect
Right.
because what you do is you end up getting the people that want to see Artist Alley. They want to be. They're there for the artists. They're there to look at new books or look at creative art or look at whatever is there. They're
Mhm.
not there for the celebrities. They're not there clogging
Right.
up lanes and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
the flow is really really good,
Yeah, I thought
and
so
the
too.
tables are not really expensive. Like Emerald
No,
City, I heard it was like $400 for a table.
it's insane. Yeah,
Yeah,
and a table this big,
yeah.
so
SummerCon is not even close to that.
right.
And it's close for me. Like I mean, it's still over an hour, but that's not terrible. Drive home and I'll get a hotel Saturday night, but
Right. Yeah,
because
it's a little drive for me, but still, it's like I really wanted to be there, but then I had the funding thing going on, and
yeah.
like,
No, I get it. But it's a great show. I always do well at that show, and then I'm going to do Grit City again because surprise, surprise, doing a 1 day show in Tacoma, I did almost as much as I did at a 2.5 day show
yeah.
at the fair at SummerCon.
See,
So
I
you
want to
know,
do Grid City, but they left a bad taste in my mouth because
yeah,
the first year I turned in an application, never heard anything back from them.
I remember that. Yeah,
So
and I know the
I
guy
I
that
don't
puts it
like
on,
it.
and yeah, and I don't know. Like I don't know if because we know each other and I shop at his comic shop, like I have no idea. I don't think it's that way, but that's a good local show, I think. Um
I've heard it's a good show,
yeah,
yes, and that's
yeah,
why I want to be there, and
yeah.
I just, but it's already sold out this year.
Oh, that's what I mean. Like it
Crazy.
in the way Brian sets it up is it's like it's just spacious, right? It's not in a huge area, but he's not trying to overcrowd everybody, right? The aisles are spaced out. He probably could get another row or two of tables,
Right.
you know, but what's the cost? Like your aisles are
Oh
super
yeah,
narrow.
exactly.
Yeah.
Because when I did Rose City, it was just terrible. There was
Oh,
no moving room at
yeah.
all. You know,
I
and I'll
stopped
never
doing
do.
Rose City. I haven't done it for the last 2 years.
I'm not gonna do it. Well, never say never, but I don't want
Yeah.
to do it again.
I may do it when I have like more books and I can go
Right.
down there with like, 12 whatever
Yeah.
books and more art.
Right.
Because fan art actually, oddly enough, people love fan art. They love
Yeah.
the prints. They love the superhero stuff that everyone's
That's
Superman,
why I'm
Batman.
doing this kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Is I'm gonna have a book of because I'm running low on stock. My prints and
Okay.
stuff. I haven't done any new prints, so everybody's seen everything. Because I'm like, original art. I'm pushing that
Yeah.
and my book.
Right.
So are you going to be at Lilac then?
No, for me, I did it, I think, for like 4 years, 4 or 5, maybe 4 years ish.
Yeah.
It's like a 5.5 hour drive.
Oh wow. Now you're
So
located where again? You're in.
we just me and my wife actually just bought a house a year and a half ago ish. And we're about an hour, well, about 40 miles north of Seattle. So
Oh, okay. So you're way up there. So is
we're
that like
we're we're
Bellingham or something? Or
uh not quite. We're
I
technically in
didn't know
Arlington,
why.
but we're right by Granite Falls area, Everett.
Oh,
We're like half hour from Everett.
oh,
you
okay,
know, but
okay.
we're literally in like kind of like a nice area where it's quiet, kind of
Uh,
rural,
yeah,
I mean,
that's
it's
nice.
nice, but we're so far from everything. Like,
Right.
there's just Tacoma is an hour and a half drive, you know,
Wow. That's
so
crazy.
because I'm so far north. And
Yeah.
then Bellingham's probably an hour and a half further north for us,
Right.
maybe two,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
and Lilac is on the other side of the state.
Oh
I mean,
yeah.
it's just like,
Spokane. It takes us
yeah.
because we're middle of Oregon. So we have to go all that way.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
still what, 6 7 hours for you at least or
It
more.
was almost 8. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, and I never really, sadly, I never profited at that show. I mean, as artists, we
I didn't
push.
either the one time I did it.
Yeah, yeah. I just can't. I got to at least break even. Like if I'm breaking even on the cost of hotel, table cost, food, gas,
Exactly.
and all I'm losing is a weekend. Okay, fine. I'm
Right.
totally happy, but I can't be $600 negative.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know,
Oh no, I
you know.
totally get it.
Yeah.
But see, when you do shows though, you focus on your book primarily,
I, I
right?
I do, and I have original art. So I have like original art from all the ice pick pages, and then I do have. So what I actually do when I don't know how you did your swell, but I do traditional pencil artwork.
Mhm.
I scan that in, and then I print it out blue line. So we're talking like old school. That's what they used to do back in the day. They blue
Right.
line it, and I would ink on the blue line,
Oh,
and that way I have like original pencils and original inks
yeah.
for fans.
Oh, see,
A-
I don't do it that way.
And then what I like for fan art, like if I'm doing, I don't know, Wonder Woman or something, I do that same process. I'm going to hand draw her, and then I'll scan it in, hand ink
Right.
it, and then I'll scan the inks in and I'll color it and make it a print. So
Yeah.
then, I sell prints for like $10
Oh,
or
see, that's a
whatever.
good idea. Yeah.
And that way they're like, oh, I love that print. I'm like, I got the original art if you're interested. And I've sold original art that way.
Oh, really? Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
like I have a Gambit Rogue print that I made, and I love Gambit Rogue, but like the lady almost bought both the pencils and the inks,
Yeah.
and I'm just like, yeah, whatever, this is the price here it is,
Right.
because she saw the print first.
Yeah. See, if I have an original art of a print that I have for sale, and they buy the original art, I'll just throw the print in with it.
Yeah, well, that's what I did do that because I'm like, yeah,
Mhm.
I mean, you said you really like the print here.
Right,
like,
right.
but
But no,
yeah.
I do mine like this. And
Oh, wow. Well,
this is
that's a comic page, right? That's big. That's
no,
big though.
this is 15 by 22.
That is crazy.
And the reason I do this is because the original EC artists, they worked roughly this size.
Wow.
And so
Okay.
they can put all the detail and everything in it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, and so I'll do blue line
Okay.
and then some pencil, but not tight pencils.
Yeah.
Because I love inking more than
Yeah.
penciling.
So do I. So do I.
So yeah, so that's how mine ended up.
So how do you end up for me, even in the late 80s, early 90s, like when I was reading Wizard, or I mean websites were barely a thing.
Mhm.
It was like you had to read books, printing books and actual books. But I always read that like 11 by 17 was a standard. They'd reduce it down a
It is.
percentage. Okay, so 15 to 22, like that's huge to
Yeah,
reduce down.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I have a big Epson that does 11 by 17 scan,
Oh, that's what I
and then
have. Yeah.
and I do, yeah, and I do the half and half, and then piece it together in Photoshop.
That sucks. I used to do, because I used to have a regular 8.5 by 11, typical printer
Yeah,
scanner thing. And it was a pain in the ass to like like literally scanning each side in and
oh yeah,
trying to
no, I
puzzle
totally.
piece it together. Um,
But
and
I am working. See, I'll do different sizes because some of my stories in Swell are 11 by 17. But yeah,
okay.
I do the start. I have a Strathmore pad too, 11
Yeah.
by 17 with the blue line.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I never know which lines I'm supposed to go with because there's like four of them that come in. It's like, is it this one, this one, this one?
Well, we're the publishers, right? We can do whatever we
You're
want.
right, exactly.
I go to
And
the edge.
Photoshop, you can just stretch it out this way, this way. Yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
So it really
That's
doesn't
what I do.
matter. I mean, yeah, if you're, again, kids, if you're making your own book, it doesn't matter. Just do it however you want. You can always change it or print it a different size. There are no rules in art.
There's not, and I've learned that like over the years. I used to be more, I don't know, of a stickler. Like this is how I have to do this, and this is the standard, and follow the standards. And now I'm just like, there are none. Like
Yeah,
literally, there's no. All the walls have been broken down. You want to
right,
make a little postcard comic? Make a postcard comic.
yeah,
Make something a magazine or bigger. You know what I mean? Who's to say?
right.
It's
'Cause yeah, well, I've never followed rules. I never follow the color wheel. I never follow the color theory with
no.
light
I,
source, whatever.
yeah.
It's like I just do what I think looks good.
Yeah. And it's funny you say like you brought that up before about like cool looking stuff. And we've talked about like haters are gonna be out there and all these other different people. And when I did Ice Pick, even like the costume, you know, I like to write fun, cool stories. I like to draw fun, cool things. I like to look at fun, cool stuff. So
Right.
like my comic collection is books that at one point I thought they were cool looking or
Mhm.
something about them was like cool. And that's why I did Ice Pick,
Yeah.
and people were like, well, I mean, a lot of people do like the design, but even in the book, they're like, oh, this or that. And I'm like, I just like it because it's cool. I
Right.
drew that panel because it looks cool.
Oh
That's
yeah.
it. There's
Yeah.
no reason. That's it.
Yeah, and those are the best ones to draw too.
Yeah.
Again, a lot of people they're like, especially the younger generation getting into making their own comics. It's like, like the pros say, they say, you got to learn how to draw, a
Nope.
coffee table with a cup on it, and which
No.
which does help. I do agree with that somewhat. Um, but all these guys want to do is just pose, 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 which
Yeah.
is
Well, that's
fine
true.
and
That
dandy,
I
but it
agree
doesn't
with.
make if it doesn't make any sense to the
Yeah.
story.
Well,
So
that and then I mean, when I was in college, it was like gesture drawing and like trying
wow,
to get like a form quickly,
right,
like and the foundation, I agree. Like there has to be, you have to understand some sort of foundation. I had anatomy books, I followed anatomy, and I still get people are like, that anatomy's wrong. I'm like, whatever, I don't care. It's not meant to be perfect. Nothing is,
right,
you
yeah,
know. And but you when I do a story, a lot of my books are my stories, and Ice Pick is very much film and entertainment influenced.
right,
So, I was in college, I got to work on a couple like indie short films and stuff like that.
right,
So I understood like framing, and I
yeah,
understood like some of those more technical aspects of how character position, stuff like that. And so I would put that into my comics, right? I cared about that.
yeah,
Um, and I think that makes it a little bit easier. And you're right, like some of the art I see today is just like it's a pose, or
right,
they're using a 3D model
yeah,
and there's no fluidity. There's no like it looks
right,
stiff. It just
yeah.
doesn't have that fun factor.
Right. And when I'm doing a story, yeah, it's definitely true. I am the director. I'm not just an artist. I'm a
Hmm.
director and a filmographer. And
Yeah.
because I set it up so that, okay, you don't just want, talking heads, boom, 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 boom,
No.
boom, boom. You gotta do different angles. This guy's talking and now this guy's talking, but you don't just want this guy. You want this guy talking over here, maybe,
Yeah.
and I'm over here, and different, and that's how I set up mine. And actually my Monsters and Rock story, I said I had in my mind that this would be a great cartoon. And I
Yeah.
set it up to flow like a cartoon, and
That's
so
cool. I agree. Like you got to think about position and angles, and especially with comics
yeah,
because it's a written. At the end of the day, it's a written media where you're going to have word balloons. You have to make sure there's space for people to talk.
right.
And I've noticed
I'm
that
so bad
it's
at that. I suck at that so bad.
I'm not perfect, but like I try to like I got like four
Yeah,
sentences I need to tell in this one panel, so it needs to be a big
right.
panel with like lots of room. You
Yeah, because
know,
like I've got little boxes and balloons, and I've got bigger boxes and balloons. It's like
exactly.
it's whatever fits. Because I should do those first, but I just want to draw the pictures first. So
Well, I think about that because when I'm doing as far as like my process, when I'm doing like when I did Ice Pick, it was like I had my script open like on my
yeah.
computer, and then I do I would do
Well,
all my
you write a
layouts
script.
digitally.
I don't
Yeah,
even do that.
well, I
I
mean,
do not even do that. So.
that's what they say you should do. I try.
You're right.
Um, and I would just kind of say like, okay, like I got 5 panels on this page, so I try to break it down and like, what's the most important panel, or what panel has the most dialogue,
Mhm.
and then I'll do my layouts digitally, print those out, and then kind of light table my layouts to give me
Oh, okay.
something to the foundation to draw on.
So do you do your balloons and words first then, or
No, I do that literally last, but I
no?
have it in mind. Like when I did Ice Pick, it was just like, okay, this is a wordy panel. Or as a writer, like I'm like, you know what? That doesn't make any sense now. Like, let me take out that sentence, or that's
Right.
stupid. So no one's gonna talk like that. So we'll
Yeah.
remove that. So yeah, as the conductor, we can add or delete stuff as we see fit.
Yeah, and that's the other thing that people don't really realize is, they're just like, I've got this great superhero, and this is what he does. Okay.
Yeah,
What's he gonna do in the comic? I don't know yet. He's got an enemy. He's got a bad guy, and this is what he
yeah.
does. I was like, okay, great. So
It
so
it took me a while to have a what I felt is a strong villain. It takes a while. Like if you're gonna do the hero villain story, right? It's been told a gazillion times. If you're doing something that's not hero villain driven, maybe it's something else. There's plenty of
right,
stories out there.
right.
It took me a while to kind of like think about the villain, research it. How is that going to work in this story? How am I going to make their plot twists? I wanted some plot twists. I wanted something
Yeah,
unexpected. It does. It takes a little bit of time and thought.
yeah, yeah. Cool. All right. Well, we're at what 6:09, so we've gone over our hour. But it's
It's
been
always good
awesome.
times.
Yeah, but awesome because I mean, we just pass in passing at shows. So Grit City and SummerCon and what else are you doing?
That's it. Those are the two shows,
That's it.
and
Wow.
go back to Kickstarter.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes, back to Kickstarter. I will try to put the link in the description on my YouTube channel. Again, Todd's YouTube channel is Dark Space LLC
Dark Space
Studios. Dark
Studio.
Space
Yeah, Dark
Studios
Space Studio
LLC.
LLC. I think it's all one word. Yeah.
Yes. So go check out his channel. I don't know what he's got on there. So, if you come away screaming, I'm not responsible. Um, however, if
Bye.
you, however, if you want to come away screaming, then go to my channel,
Yeah,
Channel F.
yeah, that works. Yeah,
Yeah. And
I
comment and like and subscribe, both
yeah,
channels.
please. Yeah.
And because that's what it's all about. So all right, dude. Yeah, it was awesome, getting to talk to you and
And
finding out
it's
about your books and stuff.
awesome.
Everybody
Yeah,
go
thank you.
to Kickstarter and look for Annabelle, which is currently on Kickstarter. You have how many days left?
It just started Friday, so we got like 3
Oh,
more weeks,
oh.
3.5 weeks. Yeah,
See, I thought
we're
you
just
were winding down, and you've already got like your over 500, I think, right?
yeah. I got my funded. I like doing stretch goals. So for those, like I have original art tiers if you like original art. But I like the stretch goals. I like giving away stickers and pins and buttons and all kinds of other fun, goofy stuff. So
Oh, well, there you go. There you go. And
yeah,
then also your website is
is darkspacestudio.com.
okay, that's easy. Mine
Yeah.
is mine's planetfstudios.com, but it's hopelessly outdated still. I need to update it. Let's see. So Raven says we need a U-Tune series. Oh, yeah, so we can sing together. No, he says YouTube. Hey, this is a YouTube series. What do you think this is? Top limit. I may be on Facebook, but this is also live streaming as
Yeah.
we speak on Channel F on YouTube. So, um, but anyway, okay, Todd. So good to see you. And I
Same.
don't know if I'm going to be able to make it up to SummerCon.
Okay.
I
Well,
got a
hopefully
busy summer, man. I
yeah.
got a lot of shows. So
Good. Good.
yeah. But
Good.
I would like to. And if I could get a table, even better. But
Yeah.
next year definitely.
I'll send once I know. Well, they send us applications like for the next year at the show. They do that
Yeah,
for a
no,
lot
I
of
saw
shows.
applications back in December, and I was like,
Yeah.
man, I need to jump on this. But then,
Yeah.
it was
I think
not
it's good.
con season, so I had to go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But all right, well, keep up the good work. Good talking to you.
Appreciate it.
Thanks
Yeah.
for being
Fun
on the show.
chatting.
Yeah,
You got
and
it.
we'll talk. We'll talk later.
All right, man. Take it easy.
All right, you too. All right, so that was Todd Rayner, who does Annabelle and Ice Pick, and it was an awesome talk. I want to thank everybody for joining us and the comments. Tim, Raymond, Mark, all you guys, you rock. And I can't tell you to go back swell because it's already backed, but this will be in the Planet F uh, studio store probably in May. I'm hoping to have it listed online so you guys can grab a copy. If not, I will be premiering them at the Mid Valley Comic Art Expo here in Salem, Oregon, and that's going to be at the April 2021. So anyway, so that's it. I don't have an exit today because I wasn't prepared. I don't think I do. So anyway, I'm just going to let you all go. Thanks for joining me. And next week, who knows who I'll have. We'll find out. So, all right. Have a good week. Keep creating, and we'll talk to you later.